Hi, I'm Michael Castiglione. I'm a chief designer here at Advanced Product Design Center. It's called Pacifica in Chrysler.
I'm Alan Barrington, designer at the Pacifica Studio and designer of the Challenger interior.
It started, it was just kind of like just a Mopar project. It was kind of wherever we wanted to pull the aesthetic. And we were looking at Roadrunners, Cudas, Challengers, of course, Chargers, and then the model that we ended up doing, at least the one that I worked on, like this one you see here, there was probably even a little bit more Cuda in it than Challenger. So it was just kind of a Mopar-inspired car at that time. And then when it kicked off was when we shifted from just sort of a Mopar look at the car to a strictly Challenger. We had the Dodge brand. We don't have Plymouth anymore. Challenger is an icon amongst muscle cars and pony cars, and it carried the Hemi engine, so it seemed like a perfect fit.
It seemed like the stars are definitely aligned, you know, with the other companies coming out with their muscle type cars, you know, so it's definitely, you know, there's a wave there and a momentum, and with our Hemi engine, it just seemed like the right time for this type vehicle.
When we decided what the official icon car was of Challenger, we looked at the 70. It seems to be going for the most money at the auctions. It's also the most widely recognized Challenger out there. Yeah, I think muscle cars in general, it's one era of design that is really uniquely American. It was affordable performance, really. A lot of the styling cues and some of the long hoods were borrowed from some of the original front-engine Ferraris and some of those proportions. You look at some of the grills of the GM cars and things, you can definitely see the sort of Ferrari influence, but they took it to kind of a different level. I mean, Mustang kicked it off back in '65, and then the other manufacturers ran with it, and it's definitely distinctly American. In terms of today's look at what affordable performance is, it's obviously a lot more money than it used to be, and we've all come to understand that there's certain things in cars we can't do without anymore, where the original pony cars and muscle cars did do without. In fact, some of the original definitions of muscle cars were stripped down cars with just big power plants, almost built for the track. So there's a certain sort of civilized aspect to it where we want to make sure those things were in there.
Well, I think for both the exterior and interior, we're both looking at very American products and things to get inspiration. You know, he was looking at, you know, beer tops of cans for the fuel door, and we're looking at handguns and that kind of thing. Like for the gauges, I was looking at, you know, if you took the cylinder head off an engine, you're looking down at these mechanical parts, and that's very American, big V8 form language that you can draw from. You know, I was drawing out the gauges, and the original ones that had, you know, 4 smaller ones, and they're all inline, and then the larger one on the outside. And I was just drawing different configurations, and okay, they're inline, and I was just looking for reference and going through, you know, muscle car magazines and Mopar magazines, and then that's when I just started seeing, you know, engine parts and engine blocks, and just made the connection. And I think these kind of cars, they need a little bit of danger to them, you know, a little bit of masculinity, and I think that's, you know, what people are attracted to them for, because they are kind of raw and on the edge like that.
Well, that was another, I think, kind of distinctly American thing, is back in that day, especially Mopar had these just potent colors with these great names like Plum Crazy and Go Mango and Sublime. We have a color studio that really helps us out with the finishes and the colors, and they custom mix some really cool stuff. And they were showing us some purples, like Plum Crazy. And I kind of thought, you know what, we have one shot at this. I'd rather do something more masculine if we have one shot. So we kind of settled on an orange, and they put together this modern version of Hemi Orange that just rocked. I think Southern California it's a very car culture out here. I mean, you can find a cool car show like every weekend. There's something to do as far as cars, whether it's 50s cars, 60s cars, 70s cars, and there is, I mean, you can drive down the road, hit almost any stoplight, and across from you, you could see a car that was built 40, 50 years ago. It's because you can drive them all year round, and you're inspired by them all the time. I mean, I realize the original Detroit iron was created there, but it's kind of inspired. There's a lot of inspiration here in terms of seeing those on the road.